Welcome, high school basketball fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for an IHSAA boys basketball regional preview with a focus on Class 2A North, particularly at Lapel and Frankfort. I'm joined by Grant Shouse of the Action Sports Network, and I am your host, Greg Mengel, and we're going to go through the regionals and talk about everything that's going on in the state, and then we're going to get micro and talk about the two regionals that we care most about here in the CIC area. All right, Grant, thank you so much for joining me. You're going to be at Frankfort on Saturday, or have you decided yet?
I will be at Frankfort. I made the decision, got a hold of my people at Frankfort. They got a spot reserved for me, and I'll be in the house at Case Arena.
Excellent. So we will hear from Grant on Greg and his Friends Talk Sports. By the way, everybody go check out my new daily podcast, Greg and his Friends Talk Sports, where I talk sports with my friends. Every day we're talking about whatever Central Indiana sports fans are talking about. And we start, Grant, I'm going to go a little out of order here so we can finish with Class 2A, but we start in the 4A. Southport at 4. It's a good one, Grant. Number 3, Pike. Number 4, Mount Vernon. Pike won an overtime classic on February 10th. If you weren't going to be at Frankfort, I bet that's one you'd like to be at.
It certainly would be, just because of the matchup. Honestly, and I don't want to take up too much time, but I'm more I think kind of want to see good teams, not good matchups, but good teams playing in interesting locations. But if you're a high school basketball fan, that may be the place to be, at Southport Fieldhouse on Saturday.
Yeah, those are two really good teams, and Southport's a great place to watch basketball at 7 o'clock. It's 14-11 Lawrence Central against 19-6 Decatur Central, and it's a regional, Grant, but it is a little like the JV following the varsity there.
Yeah, you kind of wish that was flipped, where that was the lead up, and then the heavyweight tussle with Pike and Mount Vernon. That very well could be the semi-state championship, whoever comes out of the South in 4A.
And the other two regionals, one is at Southridge. It's number 9 New Albany. It's 21-5, should beat 9-16 Castle. And at Greencastle, it's 14-10 Columbus North against 23-3 Terre Haute North. Good Terre Haute team for once. And in the 4A in the North, it's number 2 Crown Point. It's 22-1. Maybe the favorite now, Grant. A tough game, though, on Saturday at Michigan City against 22-4 Chesterton. And 24-1 and 6th-ranked Northridge goes against reigning 3A and 8th-ranked South Bend St. Joseph at Plymouth. At Logansport at 4, it's a couple of unranked teams, 18-8 Harrison against 19-6 Homestead. And number 10 Carmel, off its upset of Fishers, faces 19-7 Fort Wayne Snyder at Newcastle at 4, and should win its first regional championship since 2021, Grant.
You mentioned Crown Point potentially being the favorite out of the 4A and in the northern half. I agree, but man, I'm telling you what, look out for Carmel. They're playing good basketball right now. They just beat a top-ranked Fishers team. And when I say top-ranked, I don't mean just in the state. I mean in the nation, Greg, in the nation. They just beat that Fishers team the other night. We're down 12 with 3.5 minutes to go and came back to win by 1, hit some huge shots down the stretch. Don't be surprised if Carmel doesn't win the North in 4A. I like their chance. They've got a great player in Evan Harrell, who's 6'9", going to Bellarmine. Really good guard named Ben Bremer, who's really good. And here's something to look out for, Greg. If they win the regional, then Josh Henderson, who is the son of IU great Alan Henderson, who transferred towards the end of the regular season from University to Carmel, he would be eligible for the semi-state if Carmel were to advance there. And that could be a game changer.
It could be. And it's also tough to add somebody that late in the season, no matter how good they are.
Yeah, you're probably right. I would imagine there's a plan in place if that were to happen on how to get him ready. But this is just an interesting thing to look out for.
It really is. We just saw it recently at Blackford, and it's worked really well.
Yes. Yes, it has.
We'll get to that one here in a moment. Class 3A in the North, the first game at Newcastle at 1. Grant is Delta 15-10 stunningly in their fourth straight regional and playing number 12 Blackhawk for their fourth straight regional championship. All Mark Detweiler does is win sectional and regional championships.
I'm not surprised by that. Delta is a tradition of
stunned.
excellence over there.
I'm stunned. I thought they were the fourth best team in that sectional.
Hey, January, February, Detweiler, man. That's all I can tell you.
That's right. By the way, Delta shocked Blackhawk last year in the regional.
Yes, I remember that.
At Logansport at 1, it's number 9 West Lafayette is 22-4 against 19-7 New Haven. And Grant, I've been saying since the beginning of this tournament, West Lafayette might be the team that comes out of the North.
I'm actually going to that game at 1 o'clock at Logansport, and when it's over, I'm going to haul down there to Frankfort and I should be there in time for the Oak Hill Benton Central game. But I'm really intrigued by that matchup. That's a New Haven team that's really athletic, returned a lot from last year in a sectional runner-up team, lost to Marion in the sectional championship. I haven't seen West Lafayette, which is why I'm going to that game, is I'd like to see them. I kind of filled out how I thought things could go this weekend and filled it out for the rest of the tournament. And West Lafayette was my pick to come out of the North in 3A.
Yeah, mine too. They are really good. Also 22-4 Columbia City and 12-14 Hanover Central at Plymouth. And East Chicago Central is 14-12, and one of my favorites because that's where Etwan Moore came from. Again, 17-7 Mishawaka Marion at Michigan City.
Hey, one of the things to look out for, Greg, real quick, with Mishawaka Marion is their coach, Rob Berger, self-reported an IHSAA violation that he committed. I don't know what the violation was, but he self-reported it, and he will not be available to coach that regional championship for Mishawaka Marion on Saturday. So he will be out, and they'll have an assistant step up. So you never know how a team can respond to that, if they will, positively. They're playing a 14-12 East Chicago Central team who's no slouch, by the way. They're a really good team that's played a really good schedule. That's why their record is what it is. So wouldn't be surprised if maybe East Chicago Central doesn't sneak their way in the semi-state.
And Grant, the South is loaded in Class 3A, even though Garin Catholic was defeated. And that was by number 10 Brebeuf, 18-6. They take on number 3 Cathedral, 21-5 at Martinsville. It's number 16 Ron Colley against number 4 Northview at Greencastle. Number 2 Princeton against 17-8 Bossy at Southridge. And number 1, 27-1 Silver Creek against number 13 Batesville. And that is at the Charlestown Athletic Arena, one of my favorite arenas to watch basketball.
Same here. And what's crazy about what you said about the 3A South is that any given year, any of those teams could win a state championship.
No doubt.
But and all of those teams are good, but Silver Creek is just another level. Silver Creek really probably could win the 4A championship. That's how good they are. Division I talent from top to bottom. I really like the 3A South. There's some great teams, and whoever matches up with Silver Creek, if you could pull that off and pull an upset, would be one of the biggest upsets of the year. Because Silver Creek's just that good.
Hey, Grant, about 10 years ago, I had lunch with their current star player, Brandon Hunter, and I asked him, "Hey, you good at basketball?" And he said, "Yep."
He wasn't kidding.
He was not kidding.
That dude is special. They've got 2 really good other players on that team, Dane Sprigler and Dane Caldwell. The 2 Danes, Dane squared. And they are the real deal. And not to mention their staff, like we see in other staffs around the state, are really, really good. You and I both know. You're from down there. Mike Hutzel. We've all talked about how good Silver Creek is over the years and how good they've been. It's just kind of what they do down there. It's a tradition of excellence, kind of like what we talked about with Delta and Mark Detweiler. Very similar.
Sellersburg, Indiana also produced the greatest wife in history as well. So there's that.
Congratulations to producer Susie.
Oh, congratulations to me.
Yes. Congratulations, Greg.
We're going to go Class A. We're going to start in the north. We're going to finish with 2A, as I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
By the way, coming up here in a few minutes is Lapel head coach Kevin Cherry with his thoughts on his team against Blackford. Class A in the north, 14-11 Fort Wayne Canterbury against 15-10 Tri-County at Huntington North. 19-7 Marquette Catholic against 22-3 Triton at North Judson. Number 6 Southwood against number 7 Monroe Central at Lapel before Lapel Blackford. And then at Frankfort at the Wiener Arena at 1 o'clock. It's number 10 Rossville against 15-11 North Vermilion. And that one's before Oak Hill Benton Central, our co-main for the weekend, Grant.
The matchup that I've kind of been keyed on this week in the 1A North is Monroe Central and Southwood, because my dad's actually calling the Southwood game. So he did a bunch of interviews with the Southwood players this week and is cutting a thing together for the radio. So I've heard them talk. I talk to their coach, Christian Perry, regularly for our coaches show, and they're confident going in. They're going for their 4th regional title in 8 years. So they're really talented. So's Monroe Central. That'll be a heck of a ball game over there at Lapel to kind of get you warmed up and be the appetizer for Blackford and Lapel to follow in 2A.
And Class A in the South, again, loaded. Number 3 Hauser is 24-2. They face 18-6 South Decatur at Seymour. At 4 at Greenfield Central, it's number 9 Liberty Christian. They're 18-7 against 11-14 Greenwood Christian. Number 2 Bar Reeve takes on number 14 West Washington at the Hatchet House in Washington, followed by number 11 Bloomfield against Northeast Du Bois.
Greg, I want to talk about Bar Reeve for a second. I know you and I talked about this at length the other day, but the other day is on Sectional Championship Saturday. There were a couple. I really had trouble figuring out where I wanted to go watch a game, and I came down to 2 options: Oak Hill versus Rochester at Manchester in the Sectional Championship, my alma mater, or Carmel versus Fishers. And those were my 2 options. I could not decide. Finally, I did. I decided, all right, I'll go to Noblesville. I'll watch Carmel and Fishers. Leave about 3:30. Get down there, get in line, get on the front row for a great game. Well, Dad walks in the house wearing a beat-up, cut-off Bar Reeve shirt that he's had for probably 15 years that he got down at the Walmart in Washington. And, by the way, we know Walmarts. I remember that Walmart being really good, and we know Walmarts on this podcast.
Stay tuned for the Walmart report, everyone.
I was just about to say, yeah. He had the Bar Reeve shirt on, and I noticed. I said, I go, yep, Bar Reeve and Orleans down there, sectional championship at Lagodi could be a good game, because 2 years ago they played in the sectional championship. The game went 5 overtimes. And he goes, you ought to go. And I thought about it for a second. I'm like, you know what? You're right. I should go. So I punched into Google Maps, Lagodi. It's like, I got time. It was 2 o'clock. I was like, I got time to make it down there. So I got in the car, drove down there, stopped once in Bloomington. Actually, I was, but I couldn't make it. Yeah. Stopped. I could see the stadium for, again, the 2026 National Football Champions, Indiana Hoosiers, or 2025 National Champions, Indiana football in the distance. Made my way down to Lagodi, stood in line, talked to some people, just kind of like you would do if you were there, just trying to learn, talk to people. And got down on the front row, sat next to a group of people from Bar Reeve. They told me the whole story. Got the whole thing, and I quickly noticed that this is different. This is not how we treat basketball up here. People are more into it. There's a more southern feeling about it. The atmosphere was really good, and this brings me to the point I wanted to talk about is Bar Reeve. Bar Reeve has some dudes that maybe aren't as talented. Actually, I know for a fact aren't as talented as like one of the Tonigal brothers at Oak Hill, or Mari Leggett at Blackford, or maybe Lapel's best player. They're not as talented, but my God, Greg, they are just as smart as them. They don't make mistakes. They move the ball well. They cut hard. They don't take dumb shots. They don't turn the ball over. They play the game the way it was intended to be played. And if you're a basketball fan, it's actually a really beautiful thing to watch. And they played well, and they beat Orleans by 18. It was worth the trip down there. I would recommend seeing that Bar Reeve team if you get a chance, or pulling up some tape. The tradition they have is incredible. The support they get is incredible. At Lagodi, it was 80-20 Bar Reeve fans.
Wow.
And granted, again, Bar Reeve is 15 minutes from Lagodi High School. Orleans is more 40 minutes. But
Right.
Orleans won the state championship last year. And there are some pieces lingering from that state championship team. So Bar Reeve is the real deal. I like them in 1A South. I like them on Saturday against West Washington over at the Hatchet House, and really enjoyed my trip down there, and they're a fun team to watch.
All that said, I'll take Liberty Christian in the Class A South. All right, we move to Class 2A in the South. And Grant, I've been saying again since before the tournament that Centerville is going to be the team that's going to come out of the South. Number 5, Centerville is 24-2, and they play number 4, Park Heritage, which is 23-4 at Martinsville. Ooh, that's going to be a good one off the bat. Number 6, Triton Central is 22-3. They play 14-12. Ritter at Greenfield Central. 16-8 Austin against 13-13 Forest Park at Charlestown. And number 1, and now the only unbeaten team in the state, Paoli, takes on number 8 Linton. 23-4 at Seymour. And Grant, we may have no undefeated teams after this weekend.
Man, that Linton Paoli game will be a heck of a game. I know Paoli's number 1. Greg, name me one good team they've played, man.
Well, they beat Brownstown.
Okay.
And they beat them handily. They beat Charlestown handily.
Okay.
They're a good team. I'm not sure that 26-0 is representative because their schedule is pretty substandard.
Okay, I'll give you the Brownstown, considering we know the tradition of what Brownstown's done over the years.
And Charlestown's good too.
And Charlestown's solid. I'll tell you what, I'll call the upset right now. I'll take Linton Stockton to take down the Paoli Rams on Saturday down at Seymour. And I wanted to go back to what you said about Centerville and Park Heritage. Centerville, no disrespect, sure, they're a great team. I think they kind of fall into that same category as Paoli. They may not have played as tough of a schedule as Park Heritage. I think Park Heritage has dudes that are really, really good. They got the Shelsky kid. They got the Pickle kid who's 6'8". They competed with teams like Ben Davis this year. They played Zionsville really tough. They're a really, really good team in the 2A South. Park Heritage would probably be my pick to come out of the South in 2A.
All right, Grant, I'm going to tell you this. Shay and Jace Hollander are going to be going head-to-head against Jace and Will Tonigal in the state championship to see which brother combination is better. Let me tell you, these guys at Centerville are really good, and they're not the only guys on the team, too. One is a senior, one's a sophomore. I'm telling you, I think the Centerville team. Centerville and West Lafayette, they were the two coming into the tournament. I was like, hey, those teams aren't ranked as high as the others. I'm taking those teams.
Okay. All right. I like Park Heritage, though.
Ooh, I like it. Now we go 2A to the north, and this is where we are most interested, Grant. Number 3, Westview, 24-1 against number 7, Gary 21st Century, 17-6 at North Judson. And I think number 7 might be the favorite over number 3 there. Fort Wayne Lures is 14-11. They take on number 11, Bremen, 22-4 at Huntington North. At 4, at Frankfort, at the Wiener Arena, it's number 2 Oak Hill against 11-14 Benton Central. Then at Lapel, the number 9 Bulldogs are 20-5. They take on 20-6 Blackford. At 4, Grant, let's start at Frankfort, and Oak Hill should run away with this one.
I would think so. Oak Hill is just so talented. They're playing at a level that is just beyond what Benton Central's playing at right now.
Yeah, I will say I saw Benton Central against Sheridan a couple of weeks ago. They look really good. They can put a lot of points on the board. They can score quickly, but they're just not no kills atmosphere.
Yeah, I think that, Benton Central may have kind of gotten lucky in their sectional. They played Western Boone, and the game came down to crunch time where they were down going into the fourth quarter against Weibo and came back and rallied and won and outscored them in the fourth quarter and ended up coming back to win the game. They played with some juice. They played with some juice down the stretch, obviously. Honestly, I don't know much about them. So they're good. There are rarely bad teams that win a sectional. Now, there's teams that win sectionals that you play them in the regional and you're like, man, how'd they win a sectional? I don't necessarily think that's the case with this Benton Central team. It's just that they're running into the buzzsaw of Oak Hill on Saturday, and Oak Hill is competing so hard. The one thing I'll be interested in, I haven't talked to anyone quite yet, is the status on RJ Sugar, who had to miss the sectional and he's missed the last 4 games. He had an emergency appendectomy a few weeks ago, and they were hoping to have him back either by the regional or the semi-state. If he doesn't play on Saturday and if they advance to the semi-state, they'll try to probably have him available. So I don't know if he's going to play. I don't know how much of a factor he'll be, but look for other guys. Jaden Younts, the Eastbrook transfer, who has come in and really played his role and has adapted and had a lot of pressure taken off of him because of what the two Tonagals can do. I think every player on this team has a lot of pressure taken off of them because of what the two brothers can do. What can Jason Will Tonagle do? Jace had 33 points in the sectional championship, 18 of them in the first quarter. Just absolutely took over in the first quarter. Will had 28 on the Friday night game against Lewis Cass. They're just on a tear. They're playing on a heater right now, and I'm really excited to see them compete on Saturday and hopefully advance to the semi-state.
And the winners of these games advance to most likely Logansport at the Berry Bowl, Muncie Central at the Fieldhouse. That would be awesome. The Crawley Center at Lafayette Jeff. Most likely not Northside at Elkhart, but you never know.
I could tell you Blackford and Lapel probably would want to go to Muncie.
Yeah, that's right.
Closer in proximity. Honestly, for Blackford and Lapel, if they were to get into a scenario where they were to win the morning game of the semi-state, they could probably go home.
That's right.
And come back for the championship. Well, I know both of them. Probably Oak Hill, to be honest. Could also as well, just depending when they would play. I think it kind of depends what happens in the other 2A North games, just because Oak Hill, Blackford, and Lapel are closer in proximity to each other. If Fort Wayne Lures were to beat Bremen, and I think whoever wins the Westview Gary 21st game, I think that's probably going to Logansport. I think you kind of meet in the middle there. I don't see a scenario where they would make Oak Hill, Blackford, and or Lapel drive all the way up to Elkhart. Now, I could be wrong. Just depending on what else happens. But I would think probably your two best bets. I don't know about Gary. They're not sending Gary to Muncie. They're just not. I don't see that happening.
Gary's Elkhart, Logansport, or Lafayette for sure.
Your best bet's probably Logansport or Lafayette, and it's probably Logansport, for being honest.
All right, well, let's talk about who it's going to be. At Lapel at 4 o'clock, it's 20-5 Lapel against 20-6 Blackford, and I see this as a pretty good matchup. I see it as a contrast of styles, who can impose their will, and what I saw last week is two teams that have become really good at imposing their will, Grant.
I honestly don't know what to expect in that game because I think it's a matter of who shows up. Owen Garber is a really great player for Lapel. He's gone on a tear. He's played well. And then Blackford, of course, Blackford's got one of the best players in the state with Mari Leggett. And I think they've got the best number 2 option in the state in Mason Kitterman. And I'll be honest with you, I've been picking against Blackford all year long. I'm not picking against them on Saturday. I'm taking Blackford to win that game against Lapel. I love Kevin Cherry. I love the way he's, been such a great dude to me. Love his team. I think he's a great coach. Those are 2 coaches going against each other, Greg, and I don't know, you may disagree. I think they're really similar in the way they coach the game. I think their personalities are similar. I think the way that they've coached the game over the years is really similar with Aaron Daniels and Kevin Cherry. I'm going to take Blackford with some senior-laden guys and one of the best young players in the state to come out and win that game on Saturday and advance to the semi-state.
Grant, as you know, I have a Blackford Bruins report, been covering them all year. The thing that has changed here the last 3-4 weeks, and the addition of Eli Petros helped, particularly with depth. But the difference that I've seen is Mari Leggett doesn't take bad shots anymore. And he was playing hero ball a lot early in the year, and he's just not doing that anymore. And I think this team is dangerous. I see a scenario that they beat Lapel, Grant, but I'm taking Lapel. They're just playing too well. 6, 7, 8 guys coming at you in swarms, and Owen Garber becoming their star. And I like Lapel in this one, and maybe even another game next week, depending on kind of who they get.
Blackford really surprised me the other day. Broccoli. Blackford really surprised me last week in the sectional and their ability not to fold. They don't fold under pressure, it seems like. Now, in the Eastbrook game, in the fourth quarter, they turned the ball over. I hate saying this. They turned the ball over 6 or 7 times down the stretch. I know.
They did not do that against Wapahani, I can tell you that.
Yeah. They turned the ball over 6, 7, 8 times down the stretch against Eastbrook. And it's just their ability to bend but not break. That's what championship teams do, man. They get down, they get right back up off the mat. Like you've seen multiple championship teams over the years just not fold under pressure like that, man. And Blackford didn't do that. There's a part of me that thinks that just they keep their composure. They know how to be composed in those big scenarios, those big time situations. To your point about Leggett and how he hasn't played hero ball, that is the best thing that's happened to them all season long, man.
That's right.
Is he's figured out to not be as selfish, and he's unselfish. And your best player has to be unselfish. If you want to win, your best player has to be unselfish, and he knows he can trust other guys to make plays, especially your coach can trust other guys to make plays, like Kitterman to hit big shots, Petro to hit big shots as well. Even guys like Reggie Duran. You never know if Blackford gets in a situation where they need a big-time shot, and the only thing that's open is Reggie Duran in the corner. You got to be able to take that into consideration. I think that Blackford has figured out – I think they figured that out. And that's just what championship teams do is bend, not break down the stretch. And if they get into a tight spot on Saturday, I think they could come out and win it.
All right, Grant, coming up here in just a second is Lapel head coach Kevin Cherry with his thoughts on the matchup with Blackford. But I want to tell you right now, going into the regional, I am taking Crown Point, Silver Creek, Centerville, and Liberty Christian to be my state champions. What about you, Grant?
My state champions going into this weekend in 4A, I'm going to take Carmel, 3A Silver Creek, 2A Oak Hill to cut down the nets, and in 1A the Barre Vikings to win the state championship in 4 classes. And 2 weeks from now, I know we'll be talking about that, and who knows, we may not be talking about any of those teams in the state finals. I have no idea. Nevertheless, this is the best high school tournament in America, and another weekend of it rolls on here in March, and I'm excited, man. I think regional weekend is my favorite weekend of the year.
Everybody, please stay tuned for Lapel head coach Kevin Cherry. Well, Coach, first of all, what's this week been like for you and your team?
Well, it's kind of business as usual a little bit in that, we're preparing for our next opponent. We spent Sunday and Monday watching a lot of film and trying to get a game plan together to make us successful on Saturday. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, and now today, and again tomorrow, we'll just keep reviewing the game plan and trying to get better at the things that we do, and hope we'll play to our potential on Saturday.
Practice been good this week?
Been really good. You get to this time of the year, and we started this 3 or 4 weeks ago, where we started tapering our practices back a little bit. Some of that was because as we were getting guys back from being injured, our 5 guys that were playing a lot of minutes, I felt like they needed probably more rest than in normal years. So we were cutting our practices back for those guys anyway. And then I think just the toll of the season, to try to keep them mentally and physically as fresh as possible. The days of going 2.5 hours every night for an entire season, those are probably behind us. So we've had spirited practices, competitive practices, but at the same time, we've got our work done, spent some more time watching film this week than maybe we have in the past. And some of that's just because I didn't want to Wednesday, Thursday watch 30 minutes of film every night. So we've tried to do a little bit each evening of watching Blackford on film and look at some different tendencies and things that they do really well that we'll have to try to slow them down.
I think if you say Blackford this year, most people, all they know is Mari Leggett, but this team is not just Mari Leggett, is it?
Leggett it's a big time scorer, man. When we talked last, I said I didn't know a lot about him, although I knew they had a special sophomore. Man, watching him on film, he makes shots from everywhere, incredibly tough shots, contested shots. And I don't know all their names, but number 23 to me in a lot of ways kind of makes them go. He's just rock solid, steady. And if Leggett has a little spell, maybe where he's not making shots, or you give too much attention to him, I don't know how you can give too much attention to him, but he draws a lot of attention. And 23 seems to make shots. 40 seems to make a timely shot here or there. 35, the kid they've got back, with eligibility now, who's played in the last 5 or 6 games, he brings a little different dynamic to them as well, with his post presence. They've got some pieces that go around Leggett, but I think at the end of the day, kind of starts with Leggett. Some coaches have told me they really think he's the guy that makes them go. So I think between 0 and 23, those are the priority.
No, Coach, I bet you're glad to be playing this at home.
Oh yeah, you get to this point in the season and you're in the tournament and you get to play a home tournament game. You can't complain about that. I expect a great atmosphere. One thing I have noticed on film, and when I watch film, I look at kind of the game within the game. I see different things and it makes me chuckle, or I'll see things like I take notice or whatever. But I have noticed Blackford crowd, they travel really well and they are very adamant and emotional and very supportive of their team. And so I expect a really good atmosphere over there at Lapel on Saturday.
As always in the postseason, Coach, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on the sectional championship. Good luck this week.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much to Grant Shouse, as always, and to Lapel head coach Kevin Cherry. Good luck to the Bulldogs on Saturday. Thank you so much for listening. Please do us a huge favor and share this podcast with a high school basketball fan in your life and help us spread the word that the Central Indiana Sports Report is talking about what Central Indiana sports fans are talking about every single day. Please go subscribe, like, do all that stuff. You know what to do. Should have already done it by now, to be honest. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. and I love season.